Hi, ladies, and welcome to another episode of the Girl Boss Method podcast, hosted by myself, Ritu Bra. So, this is a little insight for those of you that are listening, a little insight into how the program is run. So, every week on a Wednesday at roughly around 8 o'clock, we meet up and I host a couple of educational topics. So, I've got a couple of the ladies with me today, and they will ask, or I'll ask them questions and we'll get them involved here and there. But they'll be watching the slides. But unfortunately for you, you're just going to be listening in. So I will read off some of the information as we go. So today's topic is, ta-da, why are step totals so important? Why are they important? So Naima and Jessica, they're here with me today. Would one of you like to unmute, and why do you think, just give us a go, why do you think steps are important? Why are step totals important? What do we think?
I would say it's obviously important to get outdoors and get some fresh air, get the blood flowing, get the endorphins going.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with you on all of those things there as well. So it's really interesting because with this step total topic, it's pretty much walking. It's about walking, moving around, getting active, and not staying sedentary and just sitting. So I think we know that with activity, Fitbits and Apple Watches and Garmin watches and all of those things, activity detectors, there's been more and more like research into how they correlate to health and the less chance of getting diseases, etc. I think there's been more studies and stuff about that, but we're going to keep it quite simple and basic and motivating as well. So first thing I thought we would talk about, which is relevant to us, would be, what is NEAT? So have you heard of the term NEAT before, Naima?
Yeah.
Do you know what it stands for?
Non-exercise something thermogenesis.
Pretty close. Here we go. It's non-exercise activity thermogenesis. So what this means, guys, is all the activity that we are doing that isn't exercise, how we utilizing that energy, how are we burning that energy, or what is that energy, how's it being used, right? So here we go. Ideally, the NEAT refers to the calories that your body burns during daily activities that are not intentional exercise. So we are thinking of activities like walking, standing, fidgeting, and even doing household chores. Increasing your non-exercise activity thermogenesis can actually help you burn more calories and contribute to weight management and overall fitness. So I don't know, ladies, have you ever been in that situation where your calories are ridiculously low, that you don't want to move and you don't want to fidget?
Not me personally, no.
Okay. And Jess, for you at all?
What, as in sort of just below what you would aim for them to be?
Yeah, so if we're thinking about let's say, for example, for both you ladies, let's just say, for example, I've given you calories that are putting you in a deficit. Now, the deficit can be 300 calories, it could be 500 calories, or it could literally be 1,000 calories. Now, when you start to have less calories, or you create that larger deficit within your calorie intake, you're obviously taking in less energy. You're going to start shutting down and you're going to start decreasing your NEAT naturally. You're going to be less inclined to want to do the things like fidgeting, walking around, standing, household chores. And I'll take you to an experience or my own personal experience. So I have competed twice in fitness competitions. I had actually planned way more competitions, but I couldn't do it. It just got too much, girls. Anyway, that's in the past. I was so happy to have done it and gone through the experience. But I recall being a couple of weeks out from competition, calories being pretty low. My training is just as hard, if not worse and harder and more. It may have also been winter at this point, and like I just naturally just started decreasing my NEAT. So as I started having less or increasing that deficit, obviously to try and like burn or lose more fat, it was kind of counterproductive because I was moving less. I didn't want to move as much because I was pretty much shutting down. So for anyone out there who is having like ridiculously low calories, because you've read somewhere that like 1200 calories is a sweet spot, staying on that amount of calories for a long period of time, you're just not going to function the same. Like when we are thinking about fat loss and weight loss and we want to create a deficit, we want to do something where it's going to be a little bit more, it's going to be manageable. Like, yeah, you might get a bit hungry, it might be a bit harder, but you're not going to start shutting down and not doing things like fidgeting and like moving and wanting to just like pick up things from the floor. And so Jess, you know, for you being at home, like you're constantly probably having to move things and like tidy up, and you know, you're unintentionally you're just increasing your NEAT just because of the way that your lifestyle is being a mum, right? There's always lots to do. And sometimes I get like that as well. I'll have days where it's just like up and down the stairs loads, but if I'm not eating enough calories, I'm not going to want to move. And so that's the thing that I maybe, because we've only really started working together quite recently, actually, for both of you, we'll learn a little bit. I'll get to learn a little bit more about you, but we want to make sure that those calories aren't ridiculously low, that you just start shutting down and everything just becomes about the exercise. I did warn you that I love to go off topics, but we'll keep it moving here. So I just really wanted to touch on the whole NEAT thing. And yeah, I think it kind of ties in with this as well. So moving on from here, don't confuse getting your steps in with actual cardio. So ladies, just do either of you want to open up and like tell me what you think of this? I mean, do you have an understanding of why the steps really shouldn't, I mean, you've kind of given it away already with the whole NEAT thing, but there has been that confusion before, maybe not with you two, but with other clients, where they've thought that just doing their steps would be an exchange for like doing actual cardio. No,
I personally aim for 10,000 steps, and just me personally, if I do cardio, my perception is that that's an extra. That's, you know, me going that extra effort to do, you know, cardio exercise. So I've always just sort of kept them separate. So if I can do the cardio, I'm over the moon. If I do my 10,000 steps, I just set that as my baseline, like, yep, tick, I've achieved it, but I don't feel like it's actual cardio when I'm doing it. So yeah, it's a bit different for me.
No, correct. Exactly. That's exactly where we're going with this. So you don't want to get the two confused. So if, for example, we'll stick to the whole 10,000 steps a day is like, you know, really what we should all be shooting for. There will be times where you can't get the steps in. You might do a bit of, for example, jumping on the bike because you haven't been able to get out and move your energy. Your energy output has decreased for other reasons. So, you know, whether that's like injury or for those of you that are listening, and we're in the UK here, if you're listening from abroad, and it just rains constantly. It's peeing down right now. So I actually drove to the gym today. I didn't walk, and I feel like such a sucker for that. I get better as we get deeper into autumn and winter. I get better with that. But I know that the rain today, I was just not prepared. I put hiking boots on and a rain jacket, and it was still like, no, this is not happening. So I'm going to share a little secret with you at the end as to how I'm going to try and get my steps up if they're not up currently, if I'm not hitting that 10K either. Right. So I thought this would be an interesting one for us to discuss. So like, again, I think you girls are pretty clued up with this, but the difference between an outdoor 20-minute walk and a 20-minute incline walk on the treadmill at the gym. So for example, thinking about going to get our steps in, and we're thinking about energy expenditure here. Which one is better? Naima, do you want to tell me which one are you going to be losing or using more calories?
I honestly don't know.
There isn't actually an actual answer, because it's going to depend on like many factors here. So let me just go. I'm just going to go to my notes, because I did actually put some notes in for this one. There are going to be a few things that we are going to be thinking about when it comes to outdoor walks versus incline walks. The first thing is going to be the terrain. So obviously outdoors, you know, that you're not going to be on an entirely flat position the whole time. You're going to be going up and down. And then let's say, for example, indoors, it's just going to be nice and like sustainable and good. Like, it's the real difference here is the fact that outside is an uncontrolled environment and indoors is a controlled environment. So I think in terms of, again, it depends how you're walking. Are you walking fast? Are you walking with intention? Are you getting breathless? Because I thought this would be an interesting one, especially when we think about cardio, because we've talked about cardio and it's like, well, you might have a 20-minute incline walk on the treadmill as your cardio, but what's the difference between that and the outdoor walk? Well, I think we can kind of get over that if we look at applying speed, we look at applying hills, you know, we look at applying more intention. So, you know, obviously the faster you walk, the more you're going to burn, right? The treadmill could kind of win at this because you're in a more controlled environment and you've got the ability to adjust the variables. So, for example, we're going to find out, we're going to be able to put the incline up a lot higher. I mean, you try and find like an outdoor walk where the incline is as steep as the treadmill goes, it's not going to happen. And I will say one last point on this is that make sure that if you are walking on the treadmill, you're not holding on. If you start holding onto the treadmill, you're definitely not going to be getting that natural arm swing and less intention. But yeah, I just thought it was an interesting one to do a little comparison on. So what would be the actual benefits of getting 10K steps a day? Why is it 10K? Jess, do you know, can you chime in on this one for us, please?
I think it's probably something to do with the energy that you burn throughout sort of 10,000 steps. Is there like a minimum sort of energy output that you gain from doing that amount of steps? I'm not sure.
I think the reason why 10,000 steps sounds really fascinating and great is because it's 10. It's like a whole number. It's a great thing to kind of go for. I don't know why it was picked other than that, but I think what we do know is when they've done like studies of comparing people that do 4,000 steps a day and like 16,000 steps a day, 10,000 steps means that you're active. 4,000, you're pretty much sedentary. And if you're doing 16,000 steps, you're seen as very active. So like, I think that's the main thing. When I think there are numbers that we should all be aiming for. I think if we're under 60, I had a Google of this earlier. If you're under 60 years old, getting between, I think, 8 and 10,000 steps a day is what you should be shooting for. And if you're above that, like I think it was 69 to 101 or something like that. I think I've just missed out a whole 10 years there, but if you're above 60 something, shooting between 6,000 and 7,500 a day is ideal to get optimal health if we think about that. So obviously the benefits that we're going to be getting from doing these things, especially if we look at the older person. Now, we're all young ladies, and if we at this age are struggling to get 10,000 steps a day, what's that going to look like when we get to 60, 70, 80? How much are you going to be moving? How less are you going to be moving? There's more things to consider if you haven't primed your body and you haven't got yourself, because walking actually, for example, is actually a strength exercise. It's a great exercise for balance, for strength, for obviously like improving your cardiovascular health. Obviously it's going to help with like weight management, especially when we're thinking about like trying to boost our metabolism. It's going to make us feel mentally amazing. Jess did say that at the beginning as well. It just feels so good getting out for a good like walk. Nice way of getting your energy levels, feeling you more. I don't know about you girls, but if you've been sat at home the whole day and you've just been sat behind your desk and you feel like shit, you get up, you go for a walk. Me and my partner actually live by the river, about 20 minutes from the river, so we're quite lucky. But we usually go, right, we're going to go for a walk, and we're going to walk all the way there and back. And it just, you could feel in like the foulest mood, but just getting out and aiming to get your steps in, there's just something about hitting that target and actually the benefits that you get in terms of like how you mentally feel after that. You just feel so energized after doing a walk. I don't think anything bad can happen from a walk. Dare I jinx that? But, I have actually known one person to tell me they were getting their steps and they ended up tripping up because they were walking in the dark. And I was just like, please try to aim for well-lit areas and busy areas as well. Don't get yourself stuck in the dark on a field somewhere in the middle of nowhere trying to get your steps in. I'll give you the tip afterwards towards the end. It's great for your joint health, your bone health as well. So if we're thinking about banking the bone strength now, the bone density. So when we get older, we're all going to be at risk of things like osteoporosis and falls and stuff. Gosh, it sounds so boring me talking about this stuff, but it really is so real and so beneficial. So ladies, I've worked with literally people as old as 97, and I tell you, you can tell. I think there's a sweet spot when you look at the 60-year-old. There's a sweet spot in terms of you can see a very fit, healthy 60-year-old, and you can see a 60-year-old where they really didn't put anything into their health, into their bodies, and it's showing. And it's such a shame for me to say that, but it's very real. I feel like it's the most. It's really the most highlighted area or age where you can see a massive difference between someone who's looked after themselves and someone who hasn't. We're all going to get old at the end of the day, and our bodies will obviously, they will deteriorate as we get very old, but not right now. Now we're doing all the good work. Digestion. So if you're prone to getting like, I don't know, a bit bloated, or you've had a massive meal, you might have seen some of my meals on social media. I will literally sit down and eat about 800 calories all at once. That's not to say that every meal is like that, but I do really love a nice big hearty meal. So definitely is going to help with aiding digestion. It's going to help you regulate your blood sugar levels. So again, we're linking it to some of those horrible diseases again, like diabetes. And believe it or not, it's actually going to help with muscle tone and strength. Because you are walking, you're climbing, if you're doing hills, your legs are going to really feel it if you're not used to it. Let's put it that way. Ideally, you've got longevity, you're going to sleep better. I just think the benefits are amazing. Like that, there you go. That's why you should be getting 10K steps a day. So I think we kind of touched on this already, but the risks of eating less as a result of not moving enough. So muscle loss, obviously, when you start to reduce your calorie intake significantly without, let's say you're not doing any strength or resistance training, you are going to lose muscle mass. I'm really sorry. So it's so important for just overall health, metabolism as well. If you are severely restricting your calories and you're not moving that much because you're just so focused on fat loss and weight loss, then you are going to encounter things like nutrient deficiencies. Your energy levels are going to be like really shot, fatigue, reduced mental and physical performance. It's not just all about exercise here. You're going to perform really badly at work as well. Hunger, cravings. If you are kind of starving yourself, you're more likely to go and you're going to trigger some poor meal choices or poor food choices if you've been dieting really, really hard in this massive deficit for a long time. I am talking about really extreme stuff here, ladies, but I think it's just so important, especially just thinking about how that affects us like mentally as well. I just think it's going to have a negative effect on how you're feeling overall. But yeah, other than that, nutritional imbalances, it's not sustainable. If you're not moving enough, it's not sustainable. If you're not eating enough, it's not sustainable. When you do get to a point where you do start to come out of a diet phase and we start to increase your calories because you are looking at maintenance, if you're not even walking that much and you're not used to walking that much, then you might again put weight on a little bit quicker. But yeah, again, just overall health, really. It's just important to get that balance right. So I know it's difficult. We can't always move as much as we'd like to, but if we try and stay active every day beyond moving that calorie, along moving the bar along to get that deficit in and to get that energy exchange. There's just massive important things there. But ladies, I'm gonna allow you to unmute. So Naima, do you want to go ahead and let me know if you've got any other questions, or did you find this useful? Did I talk loads? Did we get through it? Did you hear me?
I think it was really useful, and I think it definitely just kind of a penny dropped, and it made me think, yeah, I'm just not even mindful of the fact that sometimes I'm in a calorie deficit and I've not hit my 10,000 steps through whether it be injury or just being on a day off and thinking I just need to relax. And so and sometimes when I'm so busy, I'm like, I just forget to eat. And because I'm not exerting myself doing a workout, but I'm just busy with work or busy with Hattie, I'm not then getting the steps in. So it's a real sort of balancing act. But if you're just sort of more mindful and you sort of aim for those two things, okay, don't be in a calorie deficit, but make sure you get your 10,000 steps, and you'll probably naturally find that balance. And for me, sometimes it's just sort of so one way or the other at the moment. But yeah, it's just definitely hit me because I'm guilty of being under my calories without even thinking about it.
No, thank you, Jess. No, that's actually really good to just to hear that this topic, as simple as it is, was beneficial. Sorry, Jess, I think I did actually say Naima, but bless her, she waited as you started speaking. But thank you so much. And Naima, did you want to have anything to add, or?
I was just going to say, I'll need to make more of a conscious effort to get my steps in, especially once it's getting darker. I usually go for my walks after work, so I'll basically need to just figure it out and maybe go more in the morning than at lunchtime. Because where I live, so usually I just do my walk through the forest areas, but I don't think I'll be able to do that once it gets dark at 4.
Yeah, that's really sad that we've got to think like that, because I'm the same. And when I have gone out for walks and it's been dark, where I live, I'm so lucky. I've got I live in Sunbury, ladies, and like my grandparents live here, my parents live here, my brother lives here, my younger sister, my older sister, they're all in different homes, but we're all in the same town. I've always got somewhere to walk. And one of the things that I would do was actually just share my location. So if I'm not with my partner, and it's so sad that we've got to think like this as women, but it can be scary out there, especially when it gets dark, especially if you're someone that likes listening to podcasts and you stick your headphones in. It's a shame that we live in a world where I think, be it men or women, I think, yes, it's probably a bit scarier being a woman. You feel like more, I don't know, more vulnerable, just, I don't know, just the way it is. Unfortunately, it's horrible. But yeah, I'd always share my location, and again, one had earphone in, and I would just do it like that. But I came across something earlier this year, and I'm actually going to show you. So I don't know if I've shared it with you yet on the group, but let's go here. This
Sorry, while you find that, I don't know if it'll be the same thing, but there's an app called Go Jauntly.
what's
Is
that?
what you're?
No.
So,
I'm saying let's get out of the outside for when it's dark.
Oh, right.
And you want to get yourselves one of these. You can still see my screen, right?
Yeah.
I have one of these, and it lives in the kitchen, and it's got a short cord on it. I stick an extension lead on the other side, but if that price is not a steal, what are we playing at? It's so small. It is not a treadmill, it's a walking machine. So don't think about like doing sprints on here. I think if you're short, you might be able to get away with that, but you can see there the whole unit is 122 centimeters long. That's not that long. Like you could lie down and you would still be bigger than this thing. So that has been a game changer. So when it's dark and you're like, you've had one of those days where you haven't really been out and about, you've been sat at your desk, you've had loads of work to do, you haven't got out, maybe it was pissing down at lunchtime and you thought, Charge, you know what, I just can't do it. You can get on, you can have a really nice evening, you can stick your food in the air fryer or in the oven, stick it on the hob, you've got the walking pad in the kitchen, you're watching a bit of Netflix, and the time just goes. I honestly cannot believe when I found this and I shared it, the amount of people that were like, oh my God, I need to get one of these walking pads. And I contacted them and I asked them, like, oh, can I have an affiliate code? But the thing is that I messaged them on Instagram. They did send me an affiliate code, but then when I went onto that website, I like didn't trust it. And I was like, do you know what? I would prefer that you just went over and you bought it and I didn't get anything for it and it just benefited you. So unfortunately, I don't have an affiliate code with these guys, but at 159 quid, that's just incredible. I bought mine in pink, of course. So there you go. Well, how's that? How do you think that's going to change things for you if you get one of those, girls?
Well, if you work from home, you could work at your desk and walk on one of those. I mean, if you can multitask, but that's pretty good.
Yeah, it does come with like a little remote control. They kind of messed up my order. So I didn't get the remote control, but one of my clients had the remote control and she told me about it. And I was like, wait, hang on. I introduced this to you and I've got the really, they've not given me everything that I need, but I just like, I Instagram messaged them and they sent it across to me. But yeah, it's not the most amazing thing in the world, but actually it is for the price. It's pretty incredible, I think. Naima, what do you think that's going to do for you?
Yeah, same as Jess. Like, I work from home, so I could just have it under my desk and kind of have a standing desk situation.
Be careful. I don't know. Like for me, I'm pretty good at walking, but just be mindful that you don't rip your laptop off the table because you can't find the remote and then you fall off and you end up with an injury. So just please be careful. Yeah. But yeah, I'll share this in the group. I've shared it so many times, but I'll share it again because I think it would just be so beneficial if it's something, you know, it's rubbish when it gets dark so quickly here. So I've really felt it get dark already quite early. Yeah, but could be an option. Yes. All right. So thank you, Jess. It's been great having you. Naima, did you have any other questions?
No, but I'm just mentioning that app, Go Jauntly, but it basically gives you like different walking routes that people have done, and then like maybe you could see some local sites along the way, and it kind of gives you routes and tells you how long they are, and you can filter out or like filter how long you want your walk to be and how far you want to walk. So yeah, that's quite a good app.
That sounds really cool. I'd love for you to share that in the group. So I'll put this in the group once we've come off here. And then yeah, if you could share that link for the app, that would be amazing because I'm guessing it's one of those things where it's just like lots of routes, maybe a bit more busier if people are looking for something that's not so secluded. But yeah, sounds really good. And yeah, guys, we are going to leave it here. Naima, please stay on. So we'll have a little chat in just a moment. So for those of you that have been listening to the podcast, this has been the Girl Boss Method. My name is Ritu Bra. And if you want to reach out and send me a message, you've got a question to ask me, or you want to learn a little bit more about the program, please find me on Instagram. You can DM me on there. That's at Richu Bra. I will spell that out for you. That's RICHUBRAR. And guys, it's been great having you listen in. Absolutely love walking. So yeah, this was definitely a topic that I wanted to reach out and talk about tonight. But yeah, any questions? We'll see you next time. Bye.